ladies and gentlemen, to deliver the opening prayer, Reverend Anderson Kelman.
Grace and peace be unto you. Shall we pause for prayer? Heavenly Father, we stand today to give you thanks and praise and to honor the gift of family, an institution, O God, created by you, an institution that is primary in the socialization of children and pivotal to the functioning of our society. And so, gracious God, as we seek to empower families, and more specifically the 1,000 families that will be chosen, we pray, God, for the planners and for the partners, both private and public sector. We pray for wisdom, we pray for insight, we pray for direction. And gracious God, we pray as well for those families that they will be receptive to new ideas and ways of functioning. So breathe upon us this morning. Grant us your divine favor, and may there be success even now in this project. And as our Heavenly Father taught us to pray, shall we pray? And as we pray this morning, will we remember, please, the chaos in our world today, that God would indeed grant peace there in the East as well. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who have trespassed against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Good morning to you, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Belle Holder, and it is my distinct pleasure to serve as your Master of Ceremony this morning. I take this opportunity to say an official good morning and welcome to the Honorable Prime Minister of Barbados, Mia Amor-Mottley. Good morning and welcome to ministers and members of Parliament. To Ms. Vivian Alva-Hart, IDB representative. Welcome to Limia Atal El Tayeb, resident representative of the UNDP. To Desron Boyce, country manager of Flow Barbados. To Virginie Andre, the program manager for the EU delegation. Director General, permanent secretaries and officers of related grades, heads of departments, staff, and other specially invited guests, members of the media, good morning and welcome. This is a really important occasion as we mark the launch of the One Family program. It is not lost on any of us, I am sure, that it is happening right here in Golden Square in Bridgetown. You see, I've stood on many stages, ladies and gentlemen, but I feel none more important than this stage this morning, and the reason that we are here, because my navel string is buried not far from here in Emerton Lane. And one thing that I did have is a number of individuals who provided education, opportunity, access, and mentorship, for which my siblings and I took advantage of, and I'm happy to be standing before you today. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, please help me welcome the Honorable Kirk Humphrey, Minister of People Empowerment and Elder Affairs. Please give him a warm welcome. But before we hear from the minister, we're going to hear from Jehu Wiltshire, the permanent secretary. Thank you, sir.
Good morning. The Honorable Prime Minister, Mia Amor-Mottley, Prime Minister of Barbados, ministers and members of Parliament, and in this regard I wish to particularly recognize the Honorable Kirk Humphrey, Minister of the Ministry of People Empowerment and Elder Affairs, of whom I have the privilege of serving under. I also wish to especially recognize the former minister, Ms. Cynthia Ford, whose empathetic nature I'm still trying to follow. Ms. Vivian Alvahart, IDB representative. Lemi El Telyab, resident representative of the UNDP. Mr. Desron Boyce, country manager, Flow Barbados. And Mr. Boyce, it is really an honor and privilege to have Flow being one of the first partners in the execution of this program. I also wish to particularly recognize the former permanent secretary in the Ministry of People Empowerment, Ms. Gabrielle Springer. You know, ladies and gentlemen, many years, you have to be very careful in terms of what you put out there in the universe. Because several years ago, I indicated an interest before I leave the public service in working in the Ministry of Social Care. And sometimes at night, after working 12 hours a day, you're getting calls all night, including from my minister and from other entities, other persons. I said to myself sometimes, probably should not have had that desire. Anyway, staff of the Ministry of People Empowerment and Elder Affairs, and I also wish to recognize the hardworking project manager, Ms. Nicole Daniel, who will give a presentation on this program later on in the program. Other specially invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. When Ms. Bell Holder said earlier that she's privileged to be here in this wonderful historical space, and I must say to you that if there are two places in Barbados that we would wish to have this program this morning, it is in Freedom Square, as well as the other area which we know as National Hero Square over by the Parliament. And it is for this reason. This particular area here, this historical space, really speaks to the empowerment of the Barbadian people, really speaks to the empowerment of families. And it is not therefore by accident that we decided to hold this program here this morning. The other area is over by National Hero Square, where over 225 years ago, our forebears, our ancestors were brought to this island, and families were broken up. And in essence, what we have here is a process where we are seeking to rebuild families, because of the family is the foundational unit of any society. And therefore, I wish to commend you, Reverend Anderson Kelman, for invoking the divine presence within the context of the family. When I reflect on this program, I think in terms of the family which I grew up in. 10 boys and 4 girls. I am number 12. And up to this day, I cannot understand how my parents were able to do it. And you know, it's really strange that sometimes my father would just look at me and say, because I don't have any kids, huh? Look at you, look. I worked so hard for you, and you won't bring any boys or girls into this world. And my response to him was, you did all of that for me. But ladies and gentlemen, what this program is all about is, in essence, recognizing the fact that the government cannot do it alone. Families cannot do it alone. In a situation where the world, where you get up every morning, you wonder what new is there going to be on the news in terms of the sort of the interconnected crises that this world is currently facing, and the impact particularly on vulnerable families. You know, as you grow older, there are some distinct memories that play over like movies in your mind. I tell you, there are 2 distinct memories from my early childhood. I can recall, because I grew up at the Ragged Point Lighthouse, I can recall distinctly several evenings when I would see bags of potatoes and yams coming to our house from the northern section of the island. And one particular evening, I saw just when they came, there wasn't much in the house. I would distinctly recall when those bags of potatoes and yams came, the smile on my father's face. I would never forget that. Another memory from my early childhood is my mother was a very quiet woman, but I distinctly recall there were times when, especially on night, when she would sit with two close friends, and I always felt that there was one particular woman who I used to, in my very youthful mindset, she's a wise woman. But my mother was a very quiet woman, but we just sat there and listened. And you know what those two friends were doing? They were imparting counsel. They were her mentors. And what I'm saying to you today, ladies and gentlemen, is that this One Family program is not only in terms of giving vulnerable families a hand up, it is also in terms of building a society that has to be based on the recognition that we need to be, in a sense, get back that compassionate essence, that empathetic nature that was the old Barbados. Because we would not have been able to make it this far without that caring element. And this is what this program is all about. And I am really appealing to all Barbadians to get on board this program. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Permanent Secretary Wiltshire. And I am happy to note then that I'm not the only one who grew up on hand-me-downs. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we will hear directly from the Honorable Kirk Humphrey, Minister of People Empowerment and Elder Affairs. Please give him a round of applause.
Very good morning to all. Good morning, PM, members of Cabinet, members of Parliament, Viviana, members of the international community, the NGOs, the churches who are here, all the persons who are partners in the ministry. A very special good morning to Cynthia Ford, the former minister responsible for people empowerment and under whom a lot of these programs were started. To the staff in the ministry who would have done a very good job. I don't know what I can say about my staff except that I love you, and I really want to thank you for the amount of work that I know I've been making you put in. But I thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. Members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished members all, thank you so much for being here with us this morning. And I wanted to begin by thanking those who made this possible, because the truth is this program is really a Thanksgiving program. And much like my PS spoke, I too would rather not today spend my time telling you about the numbers and so on. I'm sure Ms. Nicole Daniel, who is the coordinator of this program, and who has done a fantastic job so far, and I really think we should give her a round of applause. Really. I am sure she will give you the technical components, but I too feel that I must share, in essence, what this program is about. Now, as a trained social scientist, we've come to appreciate myself that social development is about managing needs, managing problems, social problems, and creating opportunities for advancement. In essence, that is the essence of it. Can you meet people at their needs? Can you help them manage their social problems? And can you help create opportunities for advancement, no matter how you spin it? That is essentially what it comes down to for our role and our intervention. And my mind, too, goes back to growing up in the neighborhood in the Pine. There was a lady, V. Everybody in the Pine knows V. V was one of the most hardworking persons. I've always known V as an old woman, as a boy. So as a man, obviously, she would have been a much older woman. And before politics, long before politics, I would take every Christmas, goods, as we do, to the households and so on, making sure that I look out for V, because I can remember many a morning V asking me on my way to school, did you have something to eat? You sure you're good? You got bus fare? And once Christmas time, I took a parcel to V's house, and When I got there, she said thanks, as she always does. And then the guy, as I was leaving, I heard him say to her, but why you didn't tell him the thing? And I drove off anyway. But then it played on my mind, so I drove back and I came back to the house. I said, I wasn't eavesdropping, but I heard this guy ask about the thing. Lemmy, I didn't see you there. How are you? Did you get the thing? So I said, what is this thing? What don't you have? And then V started to cry. And she said, I didn't want to tell you, but, you know, we don't have any gas. So you brought me all these things to cook, but I have no gas. And so it occurred to me that even as we are meeting people at their needs, the average Barbadian is extremely thankful. They don't play their heart out to you, but they're thankful for assistance. Later on, I would do these programs in the park with a community group that I was associated with called Action for Justice. And we'd go to the Queen's Park and we'd give shirts and pants. We'd sell them for like $1 or $2. And there was one day when a guy came and he asked me if he could purchase a pants and a pair of shoes. And I think it came to like $5 or something. He didn't have it. So I said, no problem, I'll give it to you. He said, no, I don't want it for free. I will go and I will come back. And this guy left, and you know, as the day proceeded, I forgot him. But then he came back in the late afternoon. He had change, like 5 cents, 10 cents, lots of change. And he said he went to town and he was trying to, as Barbadians say, raise the money. So he was asking people, he was just short of a few cents. And so I said, no, you can have the things. You know, he would say, thanks, you know, I don't have all the money. I said, it's okay, you can have it. And he took off the shirt that he was wearing and he put on the shirt that he bought. And he took off the shoes that he was wearing and he put on the shoes that he bought. And the shirt was a little oversized, so I said, hey, you can have another shirt. And he said to me, sir, thank you very much, but I cannot take another shirt because I am homeless and I will have nowhere to put them. But I want to thank you so much for your kindness to me. And I've talked about this man so many times, I've posted about him so many times because my shortcoming on that day was that I did not get his name and where he was. And he said he was going to come back, but he never came back. But it also occurred to me, even as we're dealing with our social problems, people can be extremely humble. And then in my own life, my mother, not having the benefit of raising 12, but raising 8, when she was 16 years old, her own circumstances changed her fortunes. And she was asked to leave school. And then life continued to bear, you know, more and more burden on her over time. And so she never got to finish school. But my mother to this day is one of the brightest women that I know. And you would see her doing her regular jobs, like a regular Barbadian, going to work, trying to make ends meet. And it occurred to me again that even though people may not have had the opportunity to fulfill all of their life's potential, people we see doing ordinary jobs, and sometimes doing no job at all, are filled with tremendous potential and are indeed powerful. So that even if you do not have that opportunity to fulfill all of your potential and to get seeds of the opportunities, people are powerful. So at its core, the people that are meeting their needs are thankful. For us who have to manage social problems, we're doing it for people who at the core are humble. And many of those persons that we take and judge are powerful, just never having the opportunity to finish the opportunities that they would have liked to do. And that is why we are doing this program, because we want to recognize the good in people. And here's the thing that I know. While these are people in my life, these are also the people in your life. I am sure there are people in your life who by name you can think of who would have helped you, and in some cases, many people whom you too have helped. And so the essence of what it will take to make this program work is already embedded in the Barbadian DNA Prime Minister, so that is why I know it will work. I know it will work because it's not requiring us to go and learn new tools. We already have the tools. Regrettably, it seems that in some cases we might have forgotten what is embedded in our DNA, but it is on us to be able to do that. And why is it urgent for us to do it now? We must do it now because, as the PS says, the PM always say, there are things happening outside of Barbados. But as the Prime Minister reminded us at Cabinet yesterday, that is not the end of our story. Things are happening, the circumstances are difficult, but that we as a people have what it takes to overcome, and Barbados will overcome, I have no doubt. I have no doubt. And as I say so, I know that the government must change. The way that we intervene in relation to our social programming has to change. And that is why we are amalgamating the social services to be able to offer better efficiencies to people. That is why we've now addressed laws, in some cases 100 years old. The child protection legislation in Barbados, in some cases, is over 100 years old. And that we are seeking to do what is necessary to be done to protect the nation's children, as we are doing for persons with disabilities, as we are doing for the elderly, as we are doing for persons who have to go before social services. We are also doing this program in that same vein, to be able as a government to offer ourselves in a way that allows us now to be much more impactful, to be able to reach people where they are, deploy ourselves much more usefully than traditional government does. I also want to thank the international sector, because through you we've been able to achieve a lot of things. The IDB program is the basis of which this program is built. I thank you. I want to thank the UN and their agencies for allowing us to do some of the work that we're doing. I also want to thank the NGO community, because we will not be able to deliver this program without the involvement of the NGO sector. It is impossible. And there are many heroes unsung in this country who get up every day, go to work in their small little NGO, trying to make a change for people and not being rewarded for it, not receiving a dime for it, putting their family on the line for it. Because at the end of the day, it matters, and people matter. And I look to the wider Barbadian public, and I know that it seems in many cases that perhaps in some ways we've lost our compassion, but I also know that embedded too in our DNA is the capacity to be compassionate, for us to be curious about other people's circumstances, and for us to be able to listen. And if we can just get back to those three things, to be compassionate, to listen, and above all, to be curious, to genuinely ask a man, how are you doing today? How can I help you today? What is going on in your life? These are the things on which this particular One Family program is built. And I recognize, I said it a few days ago in Chile, although PM, I don't talk about it because, that flight was a little troubling. But I said at that forum that all across the world, what you've seen is social sector spending. It went up during COVID, and now they're cutting social sector spending. The social sector is the easiest to cut. But Prime Minister, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. You did not cut our spending. In fact, you increased our spending and allowed us to do a lot more for people who are in need. So I genuinely want to thank you for it. Genuinely want to thank you for it, because it will make a big, big difference. And to the persons who will be participants in the Thousand Family program, I do not want to preach to anybody. I do not think it is my role, but I do believe very genuinely that the resources that you need to get ahead, you already have. That the problems that we are trying to solve for the people who are in need, they already have their solutions. And that our role is to be able to capture those solutions and give them back to the people in a way that allow them to progress. And if we can do that, and if we can do that right, then we will begin to make a difference in their lives. Yes, I believe the government may have to help you discover new capacities. But I also know that we have to help you develop your existing capacities too, many of which people never had the opportunity to be able to develop. So as I close, I really want to thank you all for coming out this morning. I want to thank each and every one who's playing a role in this Thousand Family program. It will be the most transformative program at the end of the day that this government is offering in the social services sector. And people have asked me why 1,000. People would ask me why 10 if I had done 10. People would ask me why 100 if we'd chosen 100. We chose 1,000. And 1,000 allows us, as the PM always says, you have to have scale. But the 1,000 also allows that 1,000 to be able to help another 1,000, because the program will spread exponentially. The benefits spread exponentially. And that all of us in our own little ways are now responsible for somebody else. That is what this program is about. Helping another man or another woman get past the finish line. Helping a child get to school. Helping a child to eat a food. Those things. And so I thank you. This is a program. It is a lot of hard work, but it is heart work. And I'm asking Barbadians to put their heart into it, because that is the DNA of who we are. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Minister Humphrey. And to underscore what the minister said this morning, starting with 1,000 families who will then have the ability to pay it forward. And that's truly what it's all about. So when someone reaches you, don't turn around and kick down the ladder, but reach back and grab someone and pull them right up with you. That's really what it's all about. Thanks again, Minister Humphrey. And now we're going to hear directly from the country manager of Flow Barbados, Mr. Desron Bino, who will share more details on Project JUMP. Mr. Bino?
Good morning, everyone. I don't think I have any fanciful stories like the minister and the PS, but before I get into what I prepared, I would just like to recognize the Honorable Mia Motley, Prime Minister of Barbados, the Honorable Kirk Humphrey, Minister of People Empowerment and Elder Affairs, Jehu Witcher, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of People Empowerment, other esteemed government officials, non-GOs officials, Cable Wireless colleagues, distinguished partners, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I would say before I get into what I prepared, that as I sat and listened to the PS and the minister, it reminded me of a Persian proverb that says, a rock thrown at the right time is better than gold given at the wrong time. And oftentimes, if we were to think big and act humble, we would get a lot done. So I must commend the ministry. So we at Flow Barbados extend heartfelt congratulations to the government of Barbados, and in particular, the Ministry of People Empowerment and Elder Affairs on the launch of the One Family program. No doubt this is a transformative social initiative that promises to make a significant difference in the lives of those who are most in need. The launch of this program is not just a step forward, it is a giant leap towards a brighter, more inclusive future for Barbados, and we are also sowing the seeds for the progress of future generations. And we at Flow are happy to be a partner in the One Family program through our very own JUMP initiative, whereby Cable and Wireless Communication is partnering with regional leadership, community organizations, and private sector stakeholders to provide significantly subsidized broadband connections to qualifying low-income households. And we are doing this against the backdrop that today, that while our networks is capable and has the capacity to connect almost every Caribbean household, 3 in 10 Caribbean citizens still do not have access to the internet or a data connection. So it's through JUMP, we aim to empower government-qualified households to overcome barriers and realize and improve quality of life through the provisions of digital connections. And we are also providing free laptops, because what is connectivity without a device, and literacy training so families can take full advantage of the connected world. This is a long-term partnership, and we have built JUMP from the ground up with a simple onboarding process and tailored support to ensure a smooth journey towards digital inclusion. From our local perspective here in Barbados, we offer sincere thanks to Minister Humphrey, Permanent Secretary Wilshire, and the entire team at the Ministry of People Empowerment and Elder Affairs for seeing and believing in the vision of JUMP to connect the unconnected and empower those most in need. The synergies between the One Family program and our JUMP initiative will have immediate and lasting effect. And it is through partnerships like these, and I encourage any private sector here that you can get on board as well, that we build a society where every individual has the opportunity to reach their full potential. We understand that a nation's strength lies in the well-being of its people, and it is through your commitment to empowering and assisting vulnerable families is a shining example of this belief in action. Once again, congratulations on this remarkable achievement, as the One Family program is a beacon of hope that fills us with pride, Barbadian pride. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bino. And we are, of course, hoping that many other corporations would follow your example and sign on to the One Family program. Ladies and gentlemen, every once in a while, there is a song that comes along and touches each and every one of us in a very personal way. And there's none more telling than how you see yourself is often how you see, assist, and help others as well. Well, this next performance is going to be a song that was written by Barbados' cultural ambassador, Dr. Stetson Wiltshire. It is going to be performed by Jermaine Kupadan Gittins. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Kupadan doing Reflections.
Yo, yo, yeah. See this one, put him on in the mirror. Huh? The girl in the mirror. Yes, you in the mirror. When I look in the mirror, I don't see a perfect man, no. I just see a trying man. And I just see an honest man. Now take a look in the mirror. Be proud of your reflection. Everybody has their story. That's why you shouldn't judge no one. People ain't easy. They change like the weather and I can't trust another man. And the music has stressed me. I singing all kind of song and still I can't catch a hand. But I know who Jah bless. No man curse. Sometimes to get the best man, you just got to take the worst. I am so blessed and I know my worth. And every time I look inside the mirror, I can say that I know who I am when I look in the mirror. That is me in the mirror. Yes, I know who I am when I look in the mirror. It is me I see in the mirror. Inside the mirror, that is me in the mirror. Inside the mirror, I see a reflection of me. The landlord has brought me. Every time
talking about families.
I can't keep
talking about families. Listen.
But me children ain't hungry. No way. Jason Jemiah so blessed and I can't say that with my chest. Cause I know who Jah healthy thing. No man curse. Sometimes to get the best man, you just got to take the worst. I am so blessed and I know my worth. I want to hear everybody inside here right now saying that they know who they are. Cause I know who I am when I look in the mirror. That is me in the mirror. Yes, I know who I am when I look in the mirror. It is me I see in the mirror. Inside the mirror, that is me in the mirror. Inside the mirror, I see a reflection of me. Inside the mirror, when I look in the mirror, I see a reflection of me.
So on three, who Jah bless, no man curse. Ready?
1, 2, 3, cause I know who Jah bless. No man curse. Sometimes to get the best man, you just got to take the worst. I am so blessed and I know my worth. And every time I look inside the mirror, I can say,
What you can say that
I know
lovely.
who I am. When I look in the mirror, that is me in the mirror.
One more time.
Tell me yes, I know who I am when I look in the mirror. It is me I see in the mirror. Inside the mirror, that is me in the mirror. Inside the mirror, I see a reflection of me. Inside the mirror, it's me I see in the mirror. I see a reflection of me.
My name is Jermaine Kupadan Gittins. When I look in the mirror, I see a reflection of me, and I hope you see a reflection of yourself when you look in the mirror. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kupadan. And when he looks in the mirror, he sees the person who wrote that song, so I should make that correction. That song, Reflections, was indeed written by Jermaine Kupadan Gittins. One more time, ladies, a round of applause. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to hear from Mrs. Nicole Daniel. She is a social development project manager. She's going to give us a presentation on the One Family program, which will include 2 testimonies and a singing performance by Kian Brown, who will do Man in the Mirror. Now, Nicole told me she's nervous, and she's nervous because she's invested, and she wants this program to do very, very well. Ladies and gentlemen, give her a round of applause, Mrs. Nicole Daniel. Yeah.
Good morning, all. Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Mia Amor Motley, members of Parliament, other specially invited guests, my family empowerment officers, my families, old families and new families, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nicole Daniel. I am the Social Development Project Manager for the One Family program. I want to thank Cooper Dan because, as he said rightfully, everyone has their story. I want to ask you a simple question this morning. If you had the opportunity to not just change the life of one person, but the future of an entire family, what would you do? The short answer to this question is this program. And here is why. We all felt the effects one way or another from what is happening all over the world. The COVID-19 pandemic, the ongoing wars with the most recent with Hamas and Israel, the climate crisis and other exogenous shocks. For some, it is very easy to manage these shocks, whilst others may struggle. These shocks also stand to increase poverty and vulnerability and exacerbate the existing social protection gaps. These challenges also then manifest in an increased demand for the social services which assist these vulnerable households and ensure that they can meet their basic survival needs. This, in essence, shows the multi-dimensional nature of poverty, which encompasses the various deprivations experienced by vulnerable persons in their daily lives, such as poor health, lack of education, inadequate living standards, disempowerment, poor quality of work, the threat of violence, and living in areas that are environmentally hazardous, amongst others. The Icy Bridge model, and that is a model where we stand. It stands for identification, where we identify and we select these families that we want to work with. The S stands for stabilization. We want to stabilize these families to ensure that they have the basic needs that they want. And then the E, we want to move a little further and provide some level of enablement. And finally, we want to ensure that these families are empowered. This model, as I said, is fashioned to the One Family program, and it represents the paradigm shift in the delivery of social protection services, and as I said, goes beyond the traditional delivery of welfare assistance. It moves the emphasis from the stabilization to the empowering of poor and vulnerable, using the households as a frame of reference. I must say that this program is not one that just focuses on handouts. And yes, while we still have to provide some level of stabilization, at the end of the day, it is about the partnerships, building a relationship between the social worker and every member of the household of that family to meet their need and to let them move from a stage of dependency on the system to a stage of independence and thereafter interdependence. At this time, I would like to acknowledge all my family empowerment officers. So if you can just stand, and these are the officers that are going to make this program the success that it is. Thank you. It is going to be a very hard road ahead, but I am very confident that they will make it through. While I can also stand here and go through all the logistics of this program, I think it is better for you to hear the real experience from some of families who have been already empowered in this program and this type of intervention. And while most of our households are usually female-headed, we also have an example of one situation, or many situations, where we have a male-headed household who would have gone through the program and would have been very impacted through its services. So I will invite you now to hear some of these real experiences of the program.
Good morning, everyone. I am one of the families who benefit from the model program, the SHSD program. When I started this project in 2017, I was at a point in my life where everything was down. I was in a bad situation. I felt down and out, and when I was first introduced to my social worker, it was a very pleasant experience. By joining this program, I felt motivated and I was encouraged to reach for higher heights for me and my family. My biggest love from the program was the emotional support, not only from my dedicated social worker, who was always there for us, but the love shown to us from the entire team. I felt seen and important. I was referred to do a cooking course with the help of the program, so I signed up at BCC. I have a passion for cooking, and this was a long-time dream of mine. While doing the course, I had a test to do. At that time, I did not have access to certain, like internet and certain things, so I called my social worker in a panic, and I asked her, "Can you please help me?" She stood on the telephone with me throughout the night and made sure that I got the help that I needed. I went on to pass this course with a B+. I excelled very well in that course. And I was also recommended to do international cuisine. And that was a proud achievement when I received my certificate. I was so happy. I was ecstatic when I received my certificate because it was years I waited to do that course, and I was so proud when I achieved it. Now, despite that the project is over and I feel empowered to do things on my own, I still get the emotional support as if I was still there. So at any time, I can still call Ms. Daniels, I can call my social worker, I can speak to anyone in the department, and they will guide me into the right direction. So I want to say to all the families that is going to enter into this program, you are indeed in great hands. Thank you.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen, and morning to the Honorable Prime Minister, Mayor Moore Motley, and all the MPs. Yes. Okay. My experience in the Strengthening and Human Social Development Project was a great experience for me and my family, because it helped me to overcome some difficult times that we was going through, and it helped me to be more stronger and more independent when it's I'm more independent when it comes to helping ourselves. The social workers and the social workers was a great help to me. They helped me get through a lot of difficult situations, and they helped me to manage certain stress and things that I was going through. And we also went back to school, and and picked back up on certain things that when I was going to school that I kind of like didn't have the opportunity to do. And it helped me to get temporary work so that I can more provide for me and my family and be a better person. I think that is it for now. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Now, those are just two of our clients that we would have gone through this program with. We have two additional clients as well who are in the back who would have gone through an entrepreneurial program. Now, the entrepreneurial program that they would have gone through would have helped them to fend for themselves, because the whole idea of the project is to help yourself. We know that through helping ourselves, they can achieve so much great things. And at this time, I also want to thank the Inter-American Development Bank for their support, because without their support and their financing, we would not have been able to successfully and achieve the objectives of that project, as well as impacting the lives of 250 households across Barbados. So thank you again. I just want you to know that at the end of this ceremony, you can always take a look at the back and you can see the two clients as well who would have gone through the entrepreneurial. Now, when we gave these households the key services to improve and empower their lives, we gave them the opportunity to rewrite their story. We also gave their children the opportunity to not enter into the path that others would have gone from before. Like most clients, and many of us, we received help throughout our journey. Support from family, support from friends, maybe we even got a loan. Some of us are here today because of those sacrifices that our families have made to make sure we had a better life. And we, and I say we as a country, because we cannot do this just alone, we have to do it together. Our stories are a reminder that these programs aren't just a chance to change a family's life, but the chance to change their entire family's future for generations to come. And if we are being quite honest, our lives are better when their lives are better. Yeah? So I end and I ask you one more question. How many stories are we willing to help change? With your support, we can help them make that change. So let's strengthen our families together and help change the nation. Thank you.
Gonna make a change for once in my life. It's gonna feel real good. Gonna make a difference. Gonna make it right. As I turn up the collar on my favorite winter coat, this wind is blowing my mind. I see the kids in the street without enough to eat. Who am I to be blind, pretending not to see their need? A summer's disregard, a broken bottle top, and a one-man soul. They followed each other on the wind, you know, 'cause If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and then make a change. Oh, oh. Na 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 na. Na na. Oh, yeah. I've been a victim of a selfish kind of love. It's time that I realize that there are some with no homes, not a nickel to loan. Could it be really me pretending that they're not alone? A willow deeply scarred somebody's broken heart and a washed out dream. They follow the pattern of the wind, you see, 'cause they got no place to be. That's why I'm starting with me. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. See, I'm asking him to change his ways, and no message could have been any clearer. If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself, then make a change. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. No message could have been any clearer. If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself, then make that change. Man in the mirror, I'm asking him to change his ways. No message could have been any clearer. If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself, then make a change. You gotta get it right when you got the time. Well, you can change your mind. His ways, so no message could have been any clearer. If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make that change. Na 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 na. Oh yeah, change. We gotta make a change.
Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Kian Brown. Yeah. Kian, Michael Jackson called and said, wait, boy. She did that thing. Make some noise one more time. Come on for Kian Brown. Very nice. Can we also take a moment to acknowledge Jason Allman, who gave testimony this morning. He was nervous, but we get the point. Yes. And Jason is a landscaper. And also, let's acknowledge Chef, I'm speaking it into the universe, Chef Adrienne Callender, who gave us her testimony this morning as well. And I'm going to challenge you, ladies and gentlemen, to become their customers and their clients. So what we have to do, you have to put dollars and cents and spend behind these individuals to ensure their success. One more time, ladies and gentlemen, Jason Allman and Chef Adrienne Callender. Also want to acknowledge the work of Nicole Daniel, who took the time to acknowledge her team. That's so very important. Thank you. Now, let's have Nicole Daniel back on stage, ladies and gentlemen, because I know she has more information to share. Nicole?
Okay, thank you. So I hope that that song touched everyone's heart here today. We have to make that change. And in that change, right now, with the One Family program, we have 1,000 vulnerable families. We would have gone through the selection process already, where we would have at least assessed over 2,000 households across Barbados. These assessments would have included areas in terms of their income, areas in terms of their education, their housing, and other needs. And through that assessments, we were able to select 1,000 of the most vulnerable families, yeah? This process will now be where the hard work, and I know that social workers usually say that social work is hard work, right? And I do agree, because you have to have a heart, you have to have empathy, you have to know how to connect with a family in order to empower them, make them motivated, and make sure that they deliver on all of the objectives for the program. Now, this program is going to be done in 2 phases. As I said, this phase now, where we're at, we've done the selection. We're now at the execution part of the program, which is phase 2. Now, under this program, we would have done the IC Bridge model, where we are going to be providing each of these households with the access to personal identification, 1. Then we're going to provide education and human resource development, health promotion, and access to health care. Family dynamics, and by family dynamics, I don't want us to be living in a household where we have 2 fridges. I want to share the resources, cooperate with each other so that we can use all of the resources in that household to make sure that everybody is living a comfortable life. We also have to look at improved housing conditions. We recognize that a lot of houses in which the vulnerable would come from are houses that are in very, very, very poor conditions. And we're asking as partners, because this is a partnership, as I said, a partnership between us. We know that government cannot do it alone. We're asking on the support of faith-based organizations, community development organization, civil society, the diaspora. We're going abroad now. And we want persons to support this initiative. This initiative is a strong initiative. This initiative is a people initiative. And this is the mission of the Ministry of People Empowerment and Elder Affairs, where we are people-centered. People come first. We want to ensure that through our support with these persons, that they're able to achieve. We also want to lend to employment. Now, I'm calling on the private sector with this regard, because we know that employment would help. Mr. Almond spoke about it this morning when he had temporary employment program, and he would have been engaged in the program, and he would have used his resources. Each and every single cent of his money went towards the reconstruction of his house, building his own empire. Yeah? So these persons, we are going to, throughout the program and through family dynamics, make sure that, you know, the clients are here and the clients have the resources and the support. Support, not, as I said, not only financial, but in kind. So if persons have a backyard with some chickens, you kill a couple of chickens and you want to give a family a chicken, and that is all that you can afford, we will take it, right? We will take it. And then we also are looking at the income and social benefits. That is the stabilization for all the families. And we want to ensure that these families go through these 7 pillars and make it to the end. Now, from these pillars, and we need the support, as I said, from all. We need support in terms of services. We have the church lends to us counseling. We have Reverend Marcus Lashley, who would have provided some counseling, and also Reverend Anderson Kelman. And through these counseling sessions, the clients have benefited so much because they get an opportunity to let out their emotions and vent. So we are calling on everyone. We also engage and partnered with the Psychologists Association of Barbados, and we thank them for their support thus far. But we're calling on everyone to provide the relevant support. And if you need to provide that support, you can always send an email to us at one.family, so that's one spelled out O-N-E, .family@barbados.gov.bb. You can also send a WhatsApp to 266-1654. We are up and running in terms of our IG page, so you can find us also at People BDS or One Family Program. So we are everywhere. The social workers are here. They can be reached anytime, and we want you to give of your support. So, as Kian would have just sang, let's look into the mirror and let us make a change. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Nicole Daniel, who's the Social Development Project Manager. And next, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to hear from a gentleman who uses the spoken word for social and political awareness, but he also often uses these words to make us look at ourselves and how we can become better versions of who we are. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Adrian Green.
There's a saying that you can choose your friends, but you can't choose your family. That's not necessarily true. Because family is not only those people who you are connected to by blood. Family is also those people who you've chosen to be connected to. Family is also those people who you've been thrown together with through circumstances and situations. So don't care how we disagree, how we don't like one another, how we have differences of opinion. In this nation, we have to be one family, because really and truly, it is a well-to-do slave hut in what is still a global plantation. So this whole family got to support reparations. There's another saying: give a man a fish, and he will eat for a day. Teach a man to fish, and he will eat for many days. I also got a little problem with this, because it's not either or. If a man can't eat, he can struggle to learn how to fish. And we should also remember the point that Cooper Dan made so clearly. It is so important, that mirror image that I have of me, the reflection when I look in the mirror that I see. So what a difference it makes when you can help a person to look themselves in the mirror and say, you have what it takes. You have what it takes. You have what it takes. You have what it takes to pull your foot off the brakes of your life and accelerate towards the destiny that is your final destination. And anything less would be a total desecration of the sacred temple that you are, because you are blessed with visions that only you can see. You've been given dreams that only you can make a reality. And to rob the world of your unique contribution would be a tragedy, because you have what it takes. You have what it takes to take those dreams from behind your eyelids to right in front your very eyes, from the back of your mind to right in your front lawn, or anywhere you want it. Flaunt it. Your greatness is not to be kept secret. It ain't like the good cutlery that only special guests get to peek it. Seek it. And when you find it, shine it like a star, a light to guide others like you, lost stars, to their rightful place in the sky. So how high you want to travel? How high you really want to travel? Because we dig our own graves and we build our own castles. So let me know if to hand you some cement blocks or a shovel. One time I do this piece in a primary school and a little girl said, Mr. Green, hand me a space shuttle. Hand me a space shuttle, because I plan to build a mansion on the moon. I don't cool out, it's a little girl. You got what it takes to get that high? Or you just a hot air balloon? But when I looked into her eyes, I said, nah, you have what it takes. You have what it takes to shake off the shackles of fear and dive into the abyss of perils and risk, making mistakes and missteps, but still pumping your fist in victory. Confidence is not arrogance, and though life is full of mystery, we should never be mystified. In the court of history, our ancestors have already testified that we have what it takes by their very survival. By their very survival when death would have been an easy escape. Our ancestors expressed their faith that we, their descendants, would one day wake and take our rightful place in the race. Firm and forceful, but full of grace. To our tongues, our ancestors taste success. To their sacrifices, we are blessed. So nothing less than your best is required. It's time to get fired up and quake all those who would underrate you, so they will never again ask you if you have what it takes. Because dog bite you, it would be obvious for any fool to see that you have what it takes. I done.
Mr. Adrian Green, ladies and gentlemen, come on, say it one more time. You have? That's right. You have what it takes to reach one. That's what today's program is all about. You know, what I have to mention as well is Barbadians who are living in the diaspora. So don't think that we only want Barbadians who are here on island with us to reach back and make a difference. How many people here in the audience maybe grew up on remittances? Oh, y'all want me to say it in dialect? How much of one of got people that live over and away? Right? And they send back for uniforms and the barrels. Exactly. All of us, most of us know what that's like, and that's what it's going to take. It's going to take Barbadians here on island and those living abroad to make a difference collectively. What I loved about what Adrian just did is that impact that we have on children. Now, children, no matter their circumstances, you know, have the ability to dream big. And it's often the adults who squash those dreams. We have to get in there and we have to become mentors and change their mindsets, because a mindset makes a big difference. It means the difference between how you look at yourself, how you see yourself with others, and the choices that you make, whether you are going to do wrong things or whether you are going to make a choice to make things better for the people around you and for yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, having said that, it is my distinct pleasure to welcome our next speaker, the Right Honorable Mia Amor-Motley, Prime Minister of Barbados.
Please sit, thank you. I woke this morning not feeling the best, but I knew that I had to be here. And I knew that I had to be here because, as Adrian told us, we have what it takes. And we have what it takes to stand on this hallowed ground and to commit yet again in a more formal way than those who first stood on this ground in pursuit of the building of a social revolution. They expressed their views out of utter frustration and hardship in recognition of something that we too often forget, that as one we can rise and as one we can triumph. It is not by accident that we launched today the One Family program. And it is not by accident that this has been a long, long, long road, trodden on this road. In 2007, under the then Prime Minister Owen Arthur, he asked me to serve as chair of the Social Council of this country. And we didn't know that we would have less than a year in government, but we knew that what was happening then was not sufficient to the task that we needed to bring. And the young man who spoke on this platform, who I have the honor to call now my Minister of People Empowerment, was in charge as a public officer in that unit. And they started looking around the world as to what models we could adapt and build upon what I call the share pot mentality of Barbados. I grew up in Eagle Hall through the bridge, and in and out of the house were all who lived in the community. There was a sense of strong community. And no one would dare to speak in a way that was demeaning to anyone, because we understood that regardless of who it was, whether it was people coming to visit my grandfather, or whether it was Sanabarka from Alkins Land who used to help take care of us, or Bill, or all of the other people in whose houses we used to go and eat, and they returned the favor by coming by us, that was the Barbados in which we grew. My father in those days was president of the Barbados Basketball Association, though I never saw him hold a basketball. And all of his friends saw it as their duty. His godson is right there, Reverend Lashley. All of his friends saw it as their duty to be part of some kind of sporting club, or community club, or religious organization, or, as was the case with my uncle, cultural club with Yoruba in Fontabelle. Half of the people who I know growing up in areas pertaining to drumming and dancing and cultural movements came out of Yoruba. And I say these things because I know we have what it takes to turn away from a culture that has caused us to consume individually, to play individually, to manage the travails of life individually, to see only the man in the mirror or the woman in the mirror, and to forget that it takes a village to raise a child. I stand proud today because there are a few things that I want you to take from this moment. When Kirk started the work and the others in that social council and the unit that was formed, it didn't stop when David Thompson became Prime Minister. It didn't stop when Freundel Stewart became Prime Minister. It continued. And the Puente program, which was the basis of what Kirk was doing, coming out of the experience in Chile and modifying it, as I said, to suit our peculiar social circumstances, got its continued upliftment. And then we heard it called the IC program. The problem was, and I always said it, it was a good program, but it did not have scale. And at the end of the day, if we are going to transform this society, it is something that Barbadians may find difficult because traditionally we believe that you should creep. But there are times in life when you have to walk, run, and jump. And our ancestors and forebears understood that. And there are times in life when you have to accept the reality that you cannot cross a chasm in small steps because you will never cross it. So that I feel a need to continue to speak with this country. Not to, but with. Because I don't pretend that we know all the answers or have the power. But I do know that we have the sense of urgency that we must fight the battles that we can win together. Because there are some that are beyond our capacity to fight as a nation alone. We don't have, as much as we would want to believe so, the ability to make rain fall in the volume that we need it to fall so that the farmers from Mount Poyer to River don't have to worry about whether their labor is in vain. But we have the power to take care of each other. We have what it takes to take care of each other. We don't have the might or the power to stop a storm or a hurricane or a mini tornado in St. George or a freak storm. But we have the power to do differently with how we give of ourselves. It costs nothing to give a smile. And yet it opens every possible door that can be opened with that smile. It costs nothing to be gracious and grateful, to express grace and to reflect gratitude. And Adrian, I didn't know that you would be literally the best introduction to what I wanted to say this morning. But I should not be surprised because we speak from the same position, philosophy, and perspective. And it is that I have found really to be embedded in the hearts of almost every Barbadian that I meet. Yes, you can find a few people who upset with the world and themselves. But even them, and the social workers will tell you this, that even them, when you spend sufficient time listening and feeling and seeing them, even they start to melt and start to reflect the gem of what they have inside of them. I have said for all my time in life, and in public life in particular, that the greatest attribute for me in assessing anyone or working with anyone is not how tall they are, how bright they are, how rich they are. I'm not interested in that. And I don't pretend. Yes, I had it a little better than most because my family happened to get on the train a little earlier than most. But that's all. But what must never be discounted, and what I value the most, is generosity of spirit. Because it costs nothing in real terms other than your heart and your commitment to be generous of spirit. I've come here this morning, therefore, to say a few things. As I said, I reflected on the continuous journey between what we left in 2007, what two prime ministers and their governments continued, and what my government hopefully has not only continued, but has tried to build on a strong foundation. When we stood in New Orleans in 2018, New Orleans for those who are not Beijing, Orleans for those who are, and indicated that the government needed to take a chance on its people with the establishment of the trust loan program, people thought I was crazy. And how can you go and give people a loan of $5,000 without security, but I can pay back? 80%, in spite of COVID, have paid back. And we sit down as a country for decades, and under duties, taxes, and other payments order, we give people tax concessions to build hotels and to do this and to do that. But we weren't seeing our own people, and we weren't feeling our own people, and we weren't hearing our own people. Yes, we heard them in terms of education and health and things, but we didn't understand that enfranchisement also means, as you heard Adrian say, that you got to do both. Give them the fish to eat and be strong, and teach them the knowledge of fishing. And the trust loan program stepped out of the temple of familiar of the government and the governance of this nation and said, we are going to give ordinary Bajans a chance, because sometimes a fella need $1,000 to go and buy some fruit and be a vendor and work that money over and over. Or another fella might need $2,500 to go and buy a weed whacker and some other piece of equipment so that he can go and provide for his family, as you heard from this platform today. And part and parcel of what we have been challenged to do is to think outside of the box. Because the mission of the eradication of poverty in this nation didn't start at independence, and it is therefore fortuitous that we stand in Golden Square, which triggered both the political and the social enfranchisement and the worker enfranchisement of this nation. So how do we become equal to the time in which we live, as they were to the time in which they lived? We believe that there are a number of things that are going to be critical to transform this nation. This One Family program is among them. The Education Transformation Program launched last week is among them. The Trust Loan Program is among them. The Community Elderly Care Assistance Program, where we added to the NAB workers during COVID, and we have added $10 million in expenditure to this government while in an IMF program, to be able to ensure that those who built this nation are not left to wallow on their own alone. I have, effectively, she's like a godmother. Went to see her in the hospital last night. She can go back home, but she doesn't want to. She wants to go into a facility where she is around people every day, because she wants the engagement, and she wants the attention, and she wants the smiles, and she wants the memories triggered, and she wants all of the things that we want every day for ourselves. I said to Kurt that we're going to launch a program, And in this mood in Barbados where everybody's quarrel about everything, but thank God Sir Lloyd reminded us before he died that that's the natural nature of this nation. That how many people need a little breather? A breather. How many people need a little breather? We do, we all need it, and we take it for ourselves, however small, however large. But there's some people who have never been given that opportunity. And we want to be able to have win-win programs. We want to introduce, as I've just agreed before today, to do and got proposals on how it could look like. We have all these estheticians around Barbados, all these women and men who, because of COVID, couldn't earn. Because physical distancing meant that you can't do a manicure, pedicure, reflexology, shoulder massage, head massage. All of that went through the window, not true? If the body you live with didn't help you, Lord help you. So that we want to introduce at least every quarter, and if possible, if we have partners, every other month or every month, one day where those elderly persons who depend on the Ministry of People Empowerment and those mothers and fathers who are overwrought because they are there for their children who are disabled in one way or another, or who are dependent on them, to be able to ensure that you can come, and we will set up stations in every parish and give you a chance, while at the same time giving those people who do this for a living a chance also. And you know what concerns me is that these are the little things that make life different. Because that person, having been exposed to a pedicure for the first time and given the high level of diabetes in this country and the absolute need for foot care, the high level of amputees, a government that sees people and feels people and hears people has a responsibility to introduce this as a form of personal care in the same way that you bathe every day and that you comb your hair, for those who do, because I don't always do mine. You got to learn to laugh. And that is our breather. So that we have to find a way, but it cannot be government alone. The example that we have trod and the philosophy that we have held firm to, share the burden, share the bounty, comes from that one pot, share pot mentality that all of us were exposed to. Today I have, and I share with you. Tomorrow you got, and you share with me. Every day don't be sunny, but every day don't be cloudy either. And those who we think can least give, when they give of their spirit, give us that which you cannot pay for. Peace of mind, the smile, the gratitude, the grace. I have come this morning to speak with Bajans and all who have the honor, yes, of living here. Because we can choose our pathways, and we must do so consciously. And our pathways cannot be singular or selfish if we want to succeed. Our pathways must be premised on partnership, on seeing, feeling, and hearing each other. And that partnership, yes, can be with international entities like the Inter-American Development Bank and all who have worked with us, Latin American Development Bank and the World Bank. Our partnerships can be local with the businesses like Flow who have understood that if families are not given access to digital literacy, it is the equivalent of being not literate in the 21st century. Our partnerships are premised with those who dug into their pockets during the establishment of the Adopt a Family program when COVID started. And however small and however large, gave so that we could sustain families at a time when unemployment reached in excess of 40% in this country. Our partnerships are those in church who see quietly and who act just as quietly to ensure that that family or that elderly person or that child is given help. But what we must now do is to supersize, to scale up our partnerships, and to ask Bajans and those who have the honor to live here to not just hear us talk about seeing, hearing, and feeling people, but to see them yourselves, and to hear them yourselves, and to feel them yourselves. And yes, there will be some who can say, I don't have time, but I will give money, and we thank you for the money, but I ask you for time still. No. Because you heard Jehu, the PS, talk this morning about how his mother, as a young boy, he remembered her being a recipient of guidance. In those days, you won't call it guidance and counseling. In those days, it was just friendship, playing the role that friendship is to play. That's what friends are for. Today, Reverend Lashley, Reverend Kelman, Sean, you all call it counseling. In a more structured way. But they were sharing life's experiences with each other. And the problem that we have is that we have so mounted the ladder of success and material prosperity that we become singularly focused, as I said, rather than opening our hands and carrying. You say, and the others criticize me, oh, she always with some saying. Yes, and I'm going to keep with them too. Because I realize that if we don't pass on the sayings from generation to generation, they become lost. So that when I say many hands make light work, who used to give the most sayings in your life, your mother or your grandmother? All right. Enough said. Enough said. When I tell people, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, the golden rule, we learn it in Sunday school. We learn it in primary school. We learn it in my houses. It is because it is not merely a saying, it is to be a way of life. So Barbadians, if we are to supersize this, conscious that we have what it takes, conscious that if the metrics show us that 1 out of every 5 in this country, families, is below the poverty line, what does that also tell us? What? That 4 out of 5 are above the poverty line. And the experience of this government has been that when we set to a task with a national purpose and with solidarity at the national level, we win. No big set of long words, we win. We came to government as the 3rd most indebted government in the world, debt to GDP per capita. 177% only after Japan and Greece. If you want to translate it to the individual level, we were among the poorest on earth in terms of what we were carrying with debt. And we brought it down together. We had a jump back up together in COVID. And we brought it back down again. From 177 to 119 to 152, and back down to where it is now at 114 and dropping. And why? Because at the end of the day, we know that it takes cash to care. And if you're spending all your money on debt and ain't got no money left for food, what's going to happen? How many of you know the horror and the frustration and the tight chest you're going to get when the bills coming in? And when you add up the bills and when you owe in debt, you really ain't got nothing left. But what we have to draw on is each other. So if 4 out of every 5 is more than 1 out of every 5, then it is time to mobilize the army of the 4. And let the 4 stand with those soldiers, Christian soldiers, Muslim soldiers, Hindu soldiers, in other words, all of the religious institutions. And let them equally stand with all of the clubs, sports, culture, and even the informal groupings. Because what it will take for us to win, as Kirk told us this morning, is what we already have. But we don't use it in a singular purpose together with one family as our umbrella. I want Barbadians, and I hope that they will put up on the screen the number, the email, the IG, the Facebook, to recognize that after today, and I hope that this program will be parsed up and distributed, because it must reach up in the north of St. Lucie, down into St. Philip, cross St. John and St. Joseph and St. Andrew, cross to St. James and St. Peter. Don't forget St. Thomas and St. George, and the populous nature of St. Michael and Christ Church. Although St. Philip and St. James running a hard one, Panya, that we stand up. The ministry has, by law, because we live in different times, to do some vetting. And those families who, when they go to the supermarket, and I can talk about that in a few weeks more too, because we understand that we have to continue to shield people as far as possible from the cost of living, just as we have been providing all of these services and all of these things. While in the IMF program, don't forget that when you go to the supermarket and you got a little extra something, buy a chicken or 2. Buy some of the hygiene products that families need. And adopt a family. Not just for the goods that you're going to give them, but when you go to their house and you start interacting with them and they got a problem and you can give a listening ear. And that's why I don't necessarily like the impersonal donations, because what we want is to partner families. Because if we partner families, then that is many hands making light work. So that it is not only the social worker who can stand up all night and be on the phone, as we heard with our budding chef, but sometimes it will be you. Because you don't know when that same person gonna be there for you 5 years, 10 years, 2 days, 10 weeks from now. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So this is a clarion call for all right-thinking Barbadians, for all the clubs, the service clubs, the indigenous ones like Landship, the churches, the mosque, the temples, the Rastafari. This is the time and moment when we declare as Barbadians that while we cannot change many of the things outside of here or in the atmosphere, we can change how we hold each other and lift each other up. And I ask us therefore today to leave here with a singular purpose. And I will be the first one joining up today as wanting to mentor in spite of the constituency and the country that I carry. And if I can carry that additional weight, then I want to believe that each of us can equally do it. I don't know when we will reach that wonderful destination, but I do know that if we work together, we have what it takes. And I do know that if we reflect the grace and gratitude that we were all taught is important, and if we show the generosity of spirit, and if we accept that partnership is critical, then we will show the world that we have what it takes. I ask those of you here to leave here committed to finding at least 3 people in the next 3 days. Each one find 3. And let us do this. And I ask for those who continue to be the naysayers and the deniers of a chance, that you need to look in the mirror and ask yourself whether you're building a platform or a scaffold. Because this country deserves better and has what it takes. You cannot launch a program today and then tell me that you doubt our capacity, 1, to execute, and 2, to make it real. And when you do that, you deny others the opportunity of a lifetime that has not been given to many, because as you heard from Kirk, while others have been reducing the amount of money they spend on social sectors, this government has increased it. The welfare, we increased the rates by 40% in the middle of COVID and did not reduce them. The welfare, we expanded the numbers of people who could benefit. The Adopt a Family program with the Household Mitigation Unit, at one stage we were carrying as many as 4,000 families in this country at the height of COVID. The Summer Nutrition Program started in COVID, continuing even though COVID finished, because we accept that some parents still are not in a position to be able to provide for their children during the long summer vacations. And therefore, if we can help carry the weight, let us carry the weight. The trust loan, the primary school grant, everything now is to be the subject of criticism rather than the beneficiary of a supportive eye. Recognizing that it is not a program to kill people. It is a program to help people. It is a program to ease the burden on people. And the same people who say that it's too much for them to do and fill out, how do you know which parent is to benefit from it if the parent doesn't self-elect? And the same people that we now want to say can't do it will participate in competitions at standard and courts in the same way and fill out the same forms. The notion that we and everything that comes close to less than perfection is now to be the subject of derision, and the undermining of trust in the country is the one thing that can disunite us as a people. That is not to say that we don't have differences, but you give things a chance and you provide constructive criticism where it is due. So my friends, we have, not you, we have what it takes as a people. And I ask us, therefore, to rise to the occasion and let us try. And if we are to fail, it is not because we did not try. The parable of the talents comes to mind. And we, as a people, know that the journey of every child starts with them trying to stand and trying to balance and trying to hold on to make sure that they can make that first step. But before they make the first step, they might fall down how many times? Does not make them a failure. And when they start to walk, they then may decide that they want to run. And they're going to fall down again many times. And when they run, they're going to want to ride a bicycle. And unless they got training wheels, and even with training wheels, they might fall down again. The message is that life is not a straight road. And those who want to hold up and do this all day and take pictures and judge programs and life as if it is a fairy tale will have mental stress, will have problems with comparisons, will have an unrealistic experience in life. And that is why I say, give the people a chance. Give the programs a chance. And if we are trying to change that which has existed for decades and centuries, God knows that it's not going to be easy. And God knows that we will fall, but we will give thanks to God and rise again. Because life is also about persistence and determination. I am so proud to see a man in here today who started on a journey with me, who fell off the road with me, but who came back on the road and gave himself even more chances and has been a blessing to thousands of families in this country. Sean Clark, stand up and let the crowd. And Sean is the first one to tell you that life is not a straight road. So when we want to win, we accept that winning is not about 100% every day, but it is about giving our best and remaining persistent and determined day by day. And when the doubts come, as they come with each and every one of us in life, we turn then to the mentors and to the partners that will make that difference. Barbados, now is the time for us to be each other's partner, to be each other's mentor, to be each other's support. Now is the time for us to show the world that we have what it takes to eliminate poverty from this landscape. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prime Minister Motley. You know, ladies and gentlemen, take a look at the screen behind me, and it's the slogan for the One Family program. You see the slogan? You guys see it? And it says, strengthening families, changing a nation. But we can make that changing our nation, because Barbados is us. We are Barbados. So strengthening families, changing our nation. Ladies and gentlemen, now to deliver the vote of thanks, please help me welcome Ms. Kenya Eversley, Family Empowerment Officer with the One Family Program in the Ministry of People Empowerment.
Good morning. The Honorable Prime Minister, Mia Amor Motley, Ministers and Members of Parliament, Ms. Vivian Alva Hart, Ms. Limia El Tayeb, Mr. Desron Boyce, my apologies, Director General, Permanent Secretaries and Officers of related grades, Heads of Department, the Program Execution Unit of the One Family Program, fellow Family Empowerment Officers, the families who have participated in previous programs, Barbadians all. Nelson Mandela once said, and I quote, "Overcoming poverty is not a gesture of charity. It is an act of justice. Poverty is not a matter of choice. Rather, the unfortunate circumstances inherited or resulting from unforeseen and oftentimes unintended events. As a social worker, I have witnessed how families who once thrived and those who walked the tightrope of vulnerability were swept into poverty because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Therefore, we are thankful that through the One Family program, we are able to continue on the path of social justice, to open doors of access and opportunity for Barbadian citizens in greatest need. We want to thank our partners, including Flow Barbados, who are already on board, and we also welcome the opportunity for more future collaborations and partnerships. We thank the families who have participated in previous programs as they continue to make significant strides on the path of upward mobility. In closing, I ask all Barbadians to make a personal commitment to these 3 E's. Show empathy by considering others' needs and placing ourselves in their shoes. By empowering our fellow citizens to have autonomy and the power to chart a new course for themselves and their families despite their circumstances. And lastly, to enable vulnerable citizens by giving them what they need to overcome. I thank you for your faith in the success of this project, and I also thank you in advance for playing your part in ending poverty in Barbados. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Eversley. Now, one of the things that we need to do from today going forward is spread the word about the program. And there's nothing more infectious than music. So, ladies and gentlemen, this next individual actually wrote the jingle and will be performing it for us today. So remember the words when you hear it, it's very infectious. His name is Richard Straker, but we all know him as Skrilla. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Skrilla doing Help One, Help All.
Hey, so let me come together. So let me come together. Opportunity. Hey, we achieve stabilization. Come together, one love, one nation. Come together. Hey, so let me come together. Opportunity. Together we rise and divided we fall. Anybody want help? Let me answer the call. A lot of families in need. Lend a helping hand indeed. Donate to the future, add to the mission. Plant the seeds to succeed. You got money? You can donate that. You got the skill, you can share. Donate that. If you know you can help and you want volunteer and add to the cause, we ain't turning back. Why? Help one, help all. Help one, help all. Let me go. Help one, help all. Together we rise and divided we fall. Let me go. Help one, help all. Together. Help one, help all. Everybody help one, help all. Together we rise and come together. Opportunity. Wait, together we rise and divided we fall. Anybody want help? Let me answer the call. Good morning, everyone. My name is Skrilla. Good morning, Kurt. My Minister Kurt, the Honorable Mia Amwamani. I love everybody. I love all y'all. Now I want to share 2 things with y'all. When I can remember back in the day, when the house had to build on the gap, Mr. Buffett house, we didn't need no contractors. They had a plumber, they had a carpenter, they had anybody that would help, and the house would get built in a month. Quick. And what that was, we come together. Or even the simple fact of when a little child will pass an adult and not see a morning. 2 cross the head, and when he go home and he tell his father that James hit me, 15 more cross the back. That's why we come together, right? So I want to do one more thing for me before I leave this stage. I want to put one hand in the air like this here for me. Put one hand in the air, one hand, and we gonna pump. We gonna pump, right? We gonna pump, people. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Come together, one family. Come together, one family. Come together, one family. And what we gonna do? What we gonna do? Help one, help all. Help one, help all. Help one, help all. Together we rise and divided we fall. Let me go. Help one, help all. Help one, help all. Let me go. Help one, help all. Together we rise and divided we fall. And we gonna come together. Thank you very much, man. It's been a pleasure. Mia and more morning. Doing a great job with Minister Kirk. Thank you. I love you all. Have a great day. One family, we achieve stabilization. Come together. One love, one nation. Come together. Thank you.
Help one, help all. Thank you so much, Richard Straker, known as Skrilla. I want to thank you all so much for being here this morning. The work now begins. one.family@barbados.gov.bb. That's the email address. one.family@barbados.gov.bb. I know you love your social media, so you can check Instagram or Facebook, One Family. My name is Belle Holder. It was my distinct pleasure to be here. But now what we need to do is help one and help all. Ladies and gentlemen, have a safe and wonderful day ahead.